I want to do my own thing, but I haven't gotten there yet.
And look at the way that John struggles with that Mark IV bass or whatever that
and then
thing
when
is. He's not
when
rocking
he's
that.
when Billy Preston is back in and they have a piano player, that means John can play the part that he comes up with, and that gives me the pressure's off of me now to come up with that line, because I'm still like, I want to do this other thing, and
it
that
gives everybody something to lock
and that
into.
opens up,
and they all just kind of
amazing.
they all just kind of sit up straight, and it's like, hey, there's a new guy here, and let's show them that we're the Beatles, and like they all kind of like renew their purpose when he shows up, and they're like,
I think
all
George
just play really
all
good.
Along. It's just like God planned it, to quote Billy Preston.
Just like God planned it. Thank you.
I'm telling you,
and he's like, somebody says, "Oh, get him sheet music or write it out." And he's like, "No, just tell him." Or George goes, "Just tell him. He'll just show him. He'll pick it right up." And immediately they start playing, and he's like, he's a good enough musician that he's like, okay, yep. And
here's the thing, though.
Never has to.
Here's the thing, though, that I like. Looking back at it from today, and a black guy comes in, and he comes in on episode 2. And he totally changes the dynamic. It's very long into episode 3, and I'm not even done with episode 3, but I finally notice that they have him saying a word on audio. Like usually he's just smiling and smiling and nodding, and like he doesn't get any words,
Yeah, but I think, hold on, Mike, what I picked up on that was that he's like, holy shit, I'm sitting in with the Beatles.
He loves
it.
He loves it.
And so I can't believe what's happened.
They don't give him
any years old.
Yeah, they don't give him any audio though till like he's already been kind of in the story for like an hour,
But remember, they also it's like the next day, and they're like, "You're here again?" And he's like, "Yeah, isn't this your day off? I'm in the Beatles."
Yeah, no, it's really cute, but it's so funny how quickly he adds the little touches on those songs that really make them what they are. Those those little touches that he puts on
Mike,
the song.
I got to point out that I feel like George was playing directly a couple, like, okay, the part in Don't Let Me Down. That's George, man. That is one of those. That is one of those Eric Clapton parts that he was talking about days before or weeks before.
That's another. That's another point where I'm hoping they would go over it in the movie, where they're like, where they that whole part, I'm in love for the first time.
The bass line.
They don't at the beginning. They don't have that
Paul McCartney
part.
That's all Paul.
Yeah. But they don't show that part either.
Paul
where they
developing
develop
his shit.
Whatever. What I'm trying to say is like they skip that part.
That's what I
Suddenly
thought.
They have that in the song.
That's what I thought for sure. That was a Paul McCartney on it.
Yeah, that's Paul.
Well,
all Paul.
Like I'm taking your word on that, Ray. I mean, I don't know. I
don't
guess
know.
you're right.
I mean, but yeah, Mike, to your point too, it's like I don't remember when all of a sudden they introduced the Hammond into Let It Be. How that, because just it seems so barren with the piano. There's that echoey, that sort of
the Lowry
mirrored. Is it a Lowry? It's not a Hammond with the Leslie.
They talk about the Lowry at some point.
The big church organ, right? The thing that really, but you know how it's because it's just sort of there's like
the
that
Leslie,
spot, and you're just like waiting for them. It's like, no, that's where Billy plays the big organ, the churchy organ sound that mimics.
Phil Spector added.
It just shows up at the end.
No, they brought in the Leslie cabinet, like in that.
You know what I'm saying? But they're working on the song, and you're just like, it's it's one of those moments where what it needs.
Right.
What it needs. Right. Yeah.
That's one of the things about the movie is like where they need to go, and it's so frustrating for them not to do it while you're watching.
What about George?
And then suddenly it's done, and you didn't get to see it. You know.
Well, but what about? It's funny, George working on something. It's like, what's the? I'm trying to find a line. Like there's something in the way she moves. It's like. It's like I went to town. Like he just doesn't come up with the line.
It's so frustrating.
He doesn't. The movie ends with him ever coming out.
Right.
Like no other person. He cannot figure out like no other person.
He said 6 months he's been working on that song.
Yeah, and he's just like, come on, Paul. Something in the way she walks. Something in the way she talks. Something in the way she drives.
4 letters.
Car. Something in the way she wears her clothes. Like what is?
No, he has something in the way she moves because he stole that from James Taylor.
Okay.
It's the next line he doesn't have. Make me feel like. What does she make? What does she make me feel like? It's
no
like
other.
No other person.
Like no other.
I thought
no
Carolina
lover.
on my mind. I thought Ringo stole Carolina from James Taylor as well in that moment.
He might have. They're all.
Yeah.
But it was, John, it was the same way with Get Back when he's like, give me another girl's name. Give me an English, a Western girl's name, and it's like, you're like, go.
Or that, thank God they chose the route from,
the Puerto Rican.
It was a Pakistani. Yeah.
Does anyone think that they could have put it into 2 parts and just showed them actually working on the music more than them just like so much time just like either goofing off or talking about like what they need to be doing and stuff, and you're just like, just play.
Well, that's what Peter Jackson did though, right? He took 60 hours of film and 80 hours of audio and wanted to sort of capture all of the dramatic moments of it and whatever, right? He couldn't show us 60 hours, and so
I'm just saying there's a lot of parts where you're just like, shut up and play.
Well, at some point, I think too, he's also trying to show the narrative of, and again, I never saw the first one, but the first version is completely like this, Let It Be. And he's like, I'm trying to show the narrative that they were loose, they were a band, they were having fun. He overemphasized, or definitely emphasized, they were loose and having fun, and John and Paul, there was very, were friendly to each other. That's how I read that. That's how it seemed to me.
But if you also to defend Sir Ethan Hogg there a little about his original "Let It Be" was, you even see the Beatles giving ideas to make it a little deceptive. Like even at the end there, George is saying, why don't you make it like the cops arrest us and that's how it ends, which is kind of how it happens in Let It Be, but it doesn't happen in Get Back. Like
it never really happened.
Exactly. Yeah, but they make it like in Let It Be, they make it look like the cops shut them down.
When does that movie come out? How long after that filming?
In 70. It comes out in the summer.
So are they already broken up at that point?
Yeah, the album. That's why we. If you listen to one of our episodes, it's not really a Beatles album.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Decided which is the right version of the album in 2021.
Yeah, but that's why I bet the end results is what drives the narrative of that film, of the Hogg film, right? He's trying to make it like I filmed. I saw this. This is what happened when I was there. You could see it coming.
I would think. I would think Lindsay Hogg might be in on the knowledge that John has quit the band before he's done editing the movie. Yeah, that's possible.
I mean, Lindsay Hogg during the movie is just like he's trying to figure out what is this movie about. And I think he latches onto the idea that it's the dissolution of the Beatles. And that's what he kind of shows in that movie.
That's in his best interest.
But I think Peter Jackson is saying, no, there's like what I'm seeing is like a band that like is totally like, support of each other and really trying to make the best, do the best they can. And that's what he says. I really feel like he's trying to show a different picture and just say, listen, These guys they loved each other. They were, they really worked well together. I think the theme of Get Back is not only the song and not only the idea of playing live, but he also definitely showed them playing their old songs when they were kids, like all the songs that that they would play when they were just kids learning how to play. All those things, they did a lot of that in the movie, and he showed a lot of that.
Well, go ahead. I was just gonna add that I think what is clear is that or what I find odd is that he is part of his own documentary, and that's like, what are you doing? He's all over that documentary. He's in there. He's
not in the original movie. He's not really.
Yeah, no. But Tony, that's you got all the raw footage. That's the thing. Is like there's 5 cameras or whatever circling the room. He's going to be in all over the place, and he's talking to them. The fact that I guess he said, okay, cut, and I'm going to go talk to them.
No, well, I mean, so shouldn't he just be? If he's the director, he should be at
No, because he's got to be saying like, what are we doing here, guys? Like. He keeps asking them, like he's trying to get something that he thinks is saleable. And I think he thinks, along with Paul, that having some big extravaganza show at the end of it culminating is what they really should do. And yeah, and I think Paul, our George and John and Ringo, they're just like, Ringo's going to be making a movie soon. He could kind of care less. John and George are just loving just playing, and they have no other like ambition of like, they've done it all. They've played everywhere.
George has all these amazing songs that he can't get them to play.
And also, George is playing very acoustic songs. They're not great for like a big audience. Like It's a Pity, or All Things Must Pass. Those are not like gonna be like the first time you hear them, you're just dancing and having a great time. They're very mellow songs, and he's just like, I don't see where my songs really are fitting into this idea, and he's kind of downplays even the idea of playing on the roof. He could care less about doing that either.
Chris, that's the thing that I find surprising too, knowing that there's a lot of conversation about doing All Things Must Pass, and where John's saying is like, yeah, no, we shouldn't try to arrange it. I think, why don't you just do it acoustic? And then, and George is like, well, I really don't want to just go out by myself and do it. But like I've heard that whole conversation. So like none of that's in there. Like that whole piece about, All Things Must Pass. I was surprised. They do, I guess it's just the one version of, the one with the Hawaiian guitar.
For You Blue.
For You Blue, yeah. Like it seems like that For Your, and then the other one at the piano, like they don't seem to finish them. Like I think you had told me that, didn't they finish that maybe the following year?
Mine too. They don't even get to the rocker part. Like it never appears. And I thought John Lennon was going to jump in and be like, well, because he was such a douchebag about that. He's like, we're a rock band. And then he's waltzing around, and then finally he gets in on it. But they never touch the.
They never get to that break. Yeah. And Old Brown Shoe, they fool around with that. And that was I think that was a single for them, Old Brown Shoe.
Yeah.
And
it was on the other side of Ballad of John and Yoko.
And that, that was a pretty clever song. And, but I think that also comes after George has hit his stride again. And he's like, hey, yeah, I do have some songs that could work. And Old Brown Shoe, I think, is one of those.
He came in, but he wrote this last night. And he was really excited. I wrote a rocker.
Yeah, a couple times. That's the thing. I have to say,
dude.
Yeah, somebody's got a dog nearby.
Yeah, my dog's right next to me.
He's snoring.
Hey, Reggie.
I thought someone had indigestion.
I thought someone's stomach. Yeah, he said I was watching the BBC, and then that documentary came on.
Yeah.
The Move, and then
he goes, one guy's
then it was
one guy's singing a harmony there, and one guy's singing a harmony there. We should do something where we're singing it all together. right? George John says that.
And then
but I do think, you know, George, so Paul obviously is coming up with songs left and right, has a lot of songs to bring. George is like going home at night
working on
writing songs. Amazing.